Kia ora, everybody. What's up? Good morning for this Tuesday, March 31st. I'm joined by John from foodbox.co.nz. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. Yeah, beautiful day in New Zealand.
You're in isolation. You haven't been into your business in 2 weeks. You've pivoted in the last couple of days, and you've got a crazy, crazy kind of world going on right now. So in a nutshell, for an alien who's just maybe tuned in, what's your name, where you're from, and what's your business?
Yeah, my name is John Stokes. I was the owner of a food delivery company to the food service, restaurants, cafes, and the like. But last week on Wednesday in New Zealand, our Prime Minister has stopped all of that business. So no restaurants, no cafes. So our business died in a minute of that phone call or that announcement. And we have pivoted into a home delivery business. We were extremely lucky. It was very much by a fluke that we had purchased a very small home delivery business in November called foodbox.co.nz. And so within minutes, we have now transferred all the staff and everything and turned ourselves from a restaurant delivery business to a home delivery business.
And you've been stuck in a room for the last 7 days.
Yeah. So the side story to that is I flew back. I actually deal with the international side of the produce company, which is the restaurant type of business. I flew back last week from Samoa, so got put in isolation. Hence I'm stuck. I'm actually sitting in bed where I've pretty much sat for the last 9 days. No shave, no nothing, just going from crazy call to crazy thing. I've got no idea what's going on visually from my business point of view. And it's been really actually quite stressful operating from a prison cell. My family are feeding me, opening the door and sliding through food 3 times a day, which is nice, room service. But yeah, it's been an interesting business journey, which I guess we're going to dive into.
So restaurants got smoked.
Yeah.
What was the moment you realized you had to pivot? Did you think it was done burgers, or were you like, wait a second, we're essential service. There's a play here. Talk me through the headspace of, because that's such a massive pivot, right? Like, and fast and quick, and obviously just looking at you, and I can bring up the website. So this is it here, foodbox.co.nz. Essential service operating during the lockdown. So you got this built, designed, done, process, back end, the whole entire thing in the last 7 days while you've been essentially in a prison cell.
Yeah, look, certainly I can't claim any of the glory of that. But in a nutshell, yes, we were lucky that it was already an existing business. So we bought it in November, as I said. We pulled it across to where our facility is in November. And, as an example, a week ago we did 200 orders and it had 8 staff. Well, the call last night is we're going to do 35,000 orders this week. Yeah. So
the good news is you're actually probably hiring.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, well, I'm in theory full on trying to find a bigger building, and of course, you got to realize the business dynamics of it. We've got to find a space that can pick and pack such huge quantities, and yet we know it's only going to go for a window, and then hopefully sooner rather than later our restaurant business opens up, and we'll hopefully have some retention. But it's you're fighting every sort of like urge to push too hard, with the counter argument that that in a while the business isn't going to be there. So some of the things that I guess for your viewers and listeners to take them through this journey is, so Jacinda, our PM, announces that no food service. That's it. So we had, I don't know, let's say between $200,000 and $500,000 worth of stock in our building, ready for restaurants. So goat curd, baby kale leaves, all those sorts of things. And yet, in a part of our building, we had this small little delivery, home delivery business that suddenly, we're trying to deal with that at the same time. So we made the right call to shut down the produce company, which is the restaurant business for the lockdown period. Throw all the staff at the home service business, which is obviously, it keeps some jobs. That's great. But we're having to figure out, different product lines, different suppliers, all the pressure that the computer goes through. We have had 35,000 individual users on the computer within 4 or 5 days. So the food box service was originally customizable, so you could get you could pick and choose. It had quite a nice feature that it told you through, I guess, tech algorithms, here's what we think you would like this week, and then you could customize it. Well, within 2 days, we realized that service that couldn't work. So, we had 400 people on at a time trying to customize the computer system. So we've basically just gone into a standardized boxing. So there's an order for, there's an option for 2 people or for 4 people or for, family of 6. And we've thrown in a vegetarian option. And so, as my wife says, you get what you get and you don't get upset. So that's kind of the model where we're trying to spit it out. So, within a week, all those pressures, of course, unfortunately, all the restaurant trade, there's going to be a lot of casualties, we
Yep.
suspect, trying to get money from all those guys who unfortunately have been told they don't have a business the next day. So, you've got that whole mindset going of your existing business, which you've, been involved in for 20 years, isn't there as it is today. And now we've got this brand new exciting business, whilst managing it in some ways from a bed, which I really don't know what's happening.
With a perfect T-shirt that says "I'm having a bad hair day." It's so good.
There you go, broccoli. Having a bad hair day, broccoli.
So, Ben Stanton was just asking, how did you ramp up awareness in the market that quickly? So 7 days you've been in your room. Obviously, the staff and team be going crazy. You've pivoted from produce to restaurants. That does overnight. You pivoted the business, already had kind of a platform and stuff. You tweaked probably the products, got the copy out the door, and then got it out. How did you go around, I guess, ramping up the marketing sort of efforts from that, which got to you to where you are, to 200 to 35,000 orders in 7 days?
Yeah. So I guess we're being blessed because, there's been a lot of panic in New Zealand, and blessed is the wrong word, but the media is portraying a lot of information about complete stay in your house. And so that then is driving everyone to online activity. In New Zealand, there's the meal solution companies, like, will tell you what to cook and how to cook, and here's your week planner. Some feedback I've got is they're 35%, one of them's 35% above what they would do at Christmas time. So they're at capacity. The supermarkets have had a major shake-up. They sold 10 million, the amount of food for 10 million people in one day. And obviously, for your listeners, New Zealand's about a 5 million population. So in one day, they sold enough food for 10 million people. So everyone was panic buying and stocking up. And so the activities that have been going on in the supermarkets in their online space has, they've just been swamped. 2 to 3 week waiting list to get no home order delivery. So that whole space was done for us. What the sort of things, I guess, we've rolled through pretty quickly is, okay, email all our restaurants, say, look, guys, help us out through this time. We're trying to pivot. Can we supply you personally at your homes? We had a database from the existing company, a lot of customers who, had, I guess, over the years, This is Foodbox's old company. Had been in contact with Foodbox, so a big reach out to them. And then just individual networks, talking to connections who have their own I guess online businesses, etc., etc. So that side of things actually hasn't been that hard. So to Ben's question, I guess we've done a little bit there. What's been the hard part is suddenly we've had to turn a 200 order business into, last week was 1,000 a day. Next week, as I said, we look like we're doing a whole range of activities for some large companies, which will equal 35,000 orders in a week. And so the hard part is we've got 60 drivers who would do the restaurant business, trying to figure out how to turn them into home delivery customers, driving out of trucks, and we tried that day 1 and 2 and realized, oh my God, that's not going to work. So we've now gone back to the courier companies who've got lighter vans and bits and pieces. And we're doing a mix of that. How we're trying to get I guess the staff into picking standardized boxes in a line, and also the link to all the suppliers who we're now having to call them to say, right, you're an essential service in New Zealand. We need you to produce 35,000 boxes, which we didn't have in our warehouse this week, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. It's almost like you're going from, to scale that quickly. It's not like your technology and you just crank up a few different servers on AWS. You're talking about physical goods and products and logistics and human hands and whole supply. Like it's the complexities of that big of a jump from 100 orders to 35,000 it's an entirely different business. You're like having to create a Walmart distribution system in a space of days, and you're not even in the business.
Yeah, I'm in the bed. Yeah, well, so the last night call is for me to go hunting to find a suitable warehouse that would be over 2,500 square meters that we can use only for this time frame whilst we're in lockdown. So that with chillers, so that we can have a packing line and get stuff in and do that. So I'm thinking down the lines. I originally thought freight forwarders because no planes are flying, but everyone's told me no, that they're jam packed because they've got all the stock that everyone's loaded them up with, which yes, they can't get out of the country, but there's no space there. So I'm in the headspace right now is produce pack houses and things like that it's not their season. Maybe it's the strawberry growers or the blueberry growers who have now finished for the season. So that's my job this morning. It's all pretty full on. But
I've just tagged you into a buddy of mine called Lloyd Budd. He works at Bailey's. He's head of commercial. He's got his fingers in kind of every single pie. I've just tagged him in. Hopefully he might have some networks or something there that might be able to do it. So Lloyd, if you're watching, sort your shit out. Help the boy John get 2,500 square meters for a short-term, month-to-month lease in the Mount will be mean. So technology obviously played a big part being able to switch over. This wouldn't have been possible if it was 10 years ago. How are you feeling that technology's actually empowered your business through this time now?
Well, yes. Look, I guess to explain it behind the scenes, we've got one developer, the poor guy who I don't know, but he's been, he's just been constantly every minute of the day trying to do upgrades to the current system. Within minutes we realized that we needed new servers and new bits and pieces. So, I'm not so aware of. I'm like the normal layman going, well, why can't you just tick this box and do this and do that? But once you start to talk to the techies, you realize that it's it's a specialized world, but behind the scenes, you touch one thing and it affects something else, and it does this and it does that. There's no way we could have done this sort of stuff in the past, and we are very fragile. Talking to my internal IT guy, he goes, "Oh my God, at any second this thing could blow up." So we've had to, stop things and do maintenance, and that was that big point. We had to basically go less traffic, let's stop the customization, and just streamline it in the short term, and that's that's been a little bit disappointing is the wrong word. That's a little bit unfortunate because we had the 200 customers already who were used to that business. Now we're basically saying, sorry guys, we're now telling you what you got to get. But New Zealand, I guess at the moment, because of the nature of what's happening, is there's a bit of araha out there. There's a bit of forgiveness and love and whatever. And so as soon as we explain, hey guys, we are trying to feed a whole lot of people who maybe aren't allowed to leave their house. They've got potential high risks. You kind of get a bit of support. So I guess those are the sort of things. I think the other thing that is interesting is once you start to do this, you actually need to create the communication connection to the people at the same time. So we've had to set up a customer care centre that's answering all the emails, all the phone calls that go with such a drastic change. When's my order coming? I placed it 2 days ago. Can I not? I'm gluten free. Can I have gluten free pasta? All those sorts of things, which means that as we look forward to the future, the tech world, which we always think is going to save a whole bunch of jobs, which it obviously does, is replaced by a whole area where we've employed or looking to employ 15 people in a call center, which last week we didn't have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. What do you think the impact this is going to have in the next 6-12 months for the New Zealand hospitality trade? Obviously we're going to be on lockdown for the next month or so, or whatever. When it pops back up, do you think it will just pops back a straight rebound? Do you think it will, how big of a impact do you think this has actually made to the entire ecosystem and to get back to where it was, if not stronger than before?
Well, there's the hope, and then there's probably a little bit of the concern. The hope is that we do bounce back, that people are going to want to, actually spread their wings, and I guess get out there, go and get their morning coffee and do all that sort of stuff. So that's the hope. What does that look like for the viability of a lot of places? It'll be interesting. I mean, obviously it really comes down to the support that they're going to get from their landlords, and if the landlords are not mortgaged up, maybe they'll give a bit more credit to their long-term tenants to say, hey, look, I'll give you a rent holiday or defer your rent or do whatever to help support you because I want you to come back into the fold again. So there'll be some that work. There'll be some of the larger guys who probably can handle a bit of stuff better than the smaller guy who's living hand to mouth. We've just been a little bit unlucky that we've just had GST and provisional taxes, so that's just come through at the end of February. There's always a marginal bunch of people in the hospitality game who are always, I guess, as I say, living hand to mouth. It's a bit of a tough game in that world. But the hope is, I guess, as I say, that we will get back there as soon as possible. I don't know. It depends who you talk to. What do you think?
I think if we get onto it quick and it opens back up for business, by the time we hit next summer and the world finally gets to be able to move around again, everyone's going to want Northern Hemisphere escapism from a cold winter. And if we're open for business and we're ready to rumble, it could be amazingly massive, ridiculously busy as shit summer, as long as in New Zealand gets some cheap flights to get people come in, and it could be crazy. It's my pick. But it's
so it's, I look after. So
go for it.
now, so I cut over you there.
No, you're right. Go for it.
Okay. Yes, I look after the international business for the produce company International, and we've got a brand of offices called Eat the Kiwi, where we export New Zealand food to in essence our own flagship distribution businesses in different places. And as we've got an office in Shanghai, talking to our GM the other day, and he said, look, 50% of the businesses have come back to work, 25% capacity, over the number he's talking about. He's saying those places that have come back to work have, got tables that are a little bit spread apart, and the people are slowly easing back in. So that's a positive. In Samoa and Vanuatu, where we've got offices, they haven't got a case yet, so they've shut the borders, and I hope, like everyone does, that will carry on. And if that does carry on and they go through the 14-day phase with no sign, they're probably likely to open up all their restaurants, and so their economy will start from a local basis. And that's probably what will happen in New Zealand too, I would say. If we can get back to a space where we can open up locally first, I think that's going to happen. And then that international travel and tourism, look, we will be on a roadmap for people, like we were. It's just going to be a slow burn. I live in a place called Piha, and our cafe, Piha Caf, has closed. And obviously prior to that, he was saying, look, I'm going to have to go to 1 to 2 days trade, because the local trade doesn't support what I normally have. I normally have a tourism trade. So I guess there'll be people reinventing themselves. We might go to to smaller hours, certain days opening for a fair few places, but we've all got to eat, and we all like to be socially connected. So restaurants and cafes are all places that we want to go to, right?
No, totally. Well, I'm just going to bring the site back up here again. So it's foodbox.co.nz. You've kind of got the 4 combos there: the feed 2, feed 2 veg, just feed 4, and just feed 6. And then delivery wise, where can you get in New Zealand? You're saying all in North Island, then down to Christchurch. Is that right? Sorry, you hear me, mate?
No, sorry, you were cutting out a bit. I got to the point that delivery through the North Island, yep. So we originally were just an overnight delivery, but with the pressure, we've basically said, look, give us 48 hours. But in essence, we can take an order, pack it the next day, and then it gets delivered by NZ Post all around the North Island, other than rural delivery. And we also have that service running down to Christchurch. But as this thing plays out, we're obviously looking at how we can get destinations as well. There's a proliferation of other companies who are frantically trying to turn themselves into home delivery businesses. So we're seeing this happening day by day. More companies are trying to come in and obviously get into that area, because obviously that's a really important thing for the people of New Zealand. Stay isolated as best as they can and get deliveries, especially if they've got that the concerns about their health, so we're on the journey, the same as a lot of people, and hope like anything that this thing does finish soon, and that we get back to a normal economy and life and all that sort of things like everyone else.
No, totally, man. Well, look, John, I really appreciate the time. For those who are checking out foodbox.co.nz, checking out, and congrats again on such a massive, crazy pivot in such a short time. And it's absolutely so nuts, but I really appreciate your time today.
No worries. Thanks. And go well, everyone.
Awesome. There's the bro, John Stokes from foodbox.co.nz. You can check it out there. Very cool, very mega. Interesting to see the pivots that people are making in a small business so fast, so quick. And he's done it in isolation in a little prison cell room at his house. So it's pretty amazing to see what can be done. Few more things coming up today again, Tim. If you've got any more questions or people you'd like me to interview, feel free to reach out. Let me know, and I'll be more than happy to try and track them out and do it. The goal of all this is to leverage my Rolodex to help share some of the thinking and stuff to everyone else, and hopefully if that helps you, that will be a-okay with me. I'll see you at the next one, team. Peace.